9 o'clock, please join us for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Happy Monday morning. First on the agenda is approve the minutes as presented from July 17th.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Meeks, seconded by Thompson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. 3 yeas, 2 absent. Miscellaneous motions. Want to wait on them until those are all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all. There's no miscellaneous motions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll move.
Address that check real quick.
Move real quick to a check that needs to be okay for the sheriff's office. It's for $55,788.80 for a vehicle in El Dorado to Superior Emergency Response Vehicles. Did you guys review that?
Okay.
I guess they need to.
They already have the vehicle, they just need to go pick up a different vehicle that was being repaired, and they're gonna hand deliver that check. So,
Take care of this at the same time.
yeah, and they wanna leave this morning because it's 2 hours to get down there just about.
If everybody
So
agrees.
they literally need this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put it on the back burner for now,
Okay.
but they need it.
Thank you.
All right, Rhonda, Housing Authority.
I have 3 demos there, and I gave you a list there. The first one is Gordon Gluey, 310 Miami. This is a rental. There, if you know Catty Corner from like where Dr. Farthing's office used to be, or in that area there, there was 2 trailers there. One just got left in shambles, and so they kind of want to get that out of there. And they're going to try to put a new mobile home in there if they can get out with what the city regulations are and stuff and everything. They cannot put an RE hookup. I know that was listed on there, but they can do that. And so they're talking to just, I think, Randy Graybill and some of the contractors to get that out. And so.
Okay.
What town is that in, did you say?
Here, I'm sorry, Burlington. Yeah.
It definitely needs to come out.
Yeah.
The one next to it does too, but there is a person living in it, so they're kind of trying to help them out. So they're older trailers. But
Did they own the other one also
they do.
then? Okay.
Making progress, little
Yes.
by little.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yep, slowly but surely.
Also moved.
That's in Dawn's area.
Yeah, I'd second that.
Motion to waive the landfills for 310 Miami, Burlington, Kansas. Moved by Meeks, seconded by Thompson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
My next one is in Waverly. Michael Pebble came to us about this. You can kind of see the pictures of the house is not in too good shape. So he would like to have that done. And they won't be putting another house on it, but they will clean it up, and it'll be nice because lots are kind of tough in Waverly sometimes to find when I was looking for one at one time. So hopefully they'll be able to maybe get something going on that.
Motion to waive landfill for 127 Pearson, Waverly, Kansas.
So moved.
I'll second. Moved by Thompson, seconded by Knight. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
302.
All right, and my last one is Patrick Beard contacted me late Thursday, that they had bought the old skating ring there in Leroy. The front half of the building is in good shape, they're gonna, keep, but they are gonna try to tear off the back part that is, the roof's bad and things like that. They want to kinda, clean it up and stuff and kinda make it in a better shape there.
Is the main building, main structure, outside structure all brick, or, is there, what's inside?
No, I think it has siding on the front, doesn't it, Dawn?
What's this, the backside?
This is the backside, yes. This
Of
is
what?
Of the
Of this old skating rink, next to Terry's Bar, in Leroy. The building, there's the Assembly of God, community building, and then there's,
The old skating rink was on the south side of 54, or 58.
that's what they told me it was. I mean,
Well,
that's
skating
the,
rink.
well, it's next to Terry's Bar, whatever
Yeah,
that
it's
used to be. I
outside.
thought there was a skating rink down there, across from our
Well, I'd
sidewalk.
say, okay, the old skating rink was second building south of 58. So this is the backside of it?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the backside. They'd like to tear off the backside and restructure that because it's not in very good shape. I guess the front of the building's okay. So they won't be taking it all down, but they would like to take the backside down and get that safe. And I asked them if they have a plan. They don't for sure, at this time, but I said I would ask you. I don't know.
So are they gonna get a contractor to tear this?
Well,
down?
Pat is kind of a contractor, so I imagine he'll be doing a lot of the work himself, so.
Him and his dad, Pat's got quite a bit of small equipment, they can handle this
Yeah.
fairly easy, so. They're basically just taking that back wall out.
Yes, just the back part off there.
Are they gonna extend it out further to the back?
He didn't really say, they just are kind of getting started, they just want to get that off of there. I would assume so, because I think they want the space, to be like it was and
So
everything.
they're tearing down, from what I understand, they're taking down like the east half of the building then?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct, yes.
And leaving the west part that
Yeah.
faces Main Street?
Because it's good structure, and I believe it
Okay.
has an upstairs to
Okay.
it, so. So it's kind of,
Only thing I would add, if we're gonna run to the landfill with it and there's some brick in there, I would see if they could at least separate the brick from
Yes.
the other debris, that way it's easier for the landfill, and they might
Correct.
be able to use this brick somewhere
Yeah.
else in a drainage
Right.
or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
rather than just
Or
filling the
just
landfill.
dumping it in a truck. and-
absolutely, and I think they probably will, we're real good about, Ryan and I've talked about that, about, making sure that the contractors know what they need to do, 24-hour notice to the landfill, and separating the stuff, so you're absolutely right. And I'll reemphasize that.
I mean, I would think if there was some issues, Ryan would bring it up and maybe
Yeah.
charge somebody a little something if there's added
There you
work
go.
because they didn't
Yeah.
do what they
But
said.
I will personally tell him, because we'll be contacting them to let them know what you guys decide.
Some of the buildings are a little bit tied together.
Yeah,
I wonder where the support wall is for the one north and south.
I know, yeah, I'm sure and I can't remember, like I said, he called me late Thursday, and then Friday I was off, so I didn't really get down there to look at the building like sometimes I do, so I don't know, does that jet out some?
Well, it's not a flat roof.
I know.
So that would make you think maybe it stands by itself,
Yeah, that's
but I
what-
don't know.
I don't know
I
either,
can't answer
like,
that either.
yeah,
Yeah,
but,
that would be my thought. Well, I'm satisfied with that.
Well, Pat
Get it
and Sarah are
tore
doing
down.
probably the work there in Leroy.
yeah, they're trying to.
Yeah, with the gable roof, chances are that if the walls aren't affecting any other building, I'd so move, we'll just go ahead.
We need to make a
Motion to waive landfill fees for 530 Main Street, Leroy, Kansas. Moved by Meats,
I'll second that.
seconded by Thompson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye, motion passed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good part of the process is cleaning up the old.
Gotta try. Oh, Clerk of District Court, Emily Stevens?
Yes, Emily Stevens.
Emily,
Hi.
okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you? I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Emily Stevens, and maiden name Haynes. My dad, Dan and Joyce Haynes, if anybody has any connection, I'm not sure. But I just wanted to introduce myself. I live over just west of Waverly, about 3 miles. I have 3 kids, 2 dogs, 5 cats, and lots of chickens, and a garden. So I really look forward to learning as much as I can about my position and doing the best job I can. And if I can be helpful, or if you need me in any way, don't be afraid to reach down there and ask me. I'm definitely learning. I'm definitely new to this, so it's going to be a process for me. But everybody has been so amazing, so kind and welcoming. So
Very good.
I appreciate that.
Have you just moved into this area? Emily?
No, actually, I've lived in the house that I live in Waverly most of my life. My dad built the house. They moved out when I was in college, and then they moved actually into another family home in Leon, Kansas, that was built by my great-great-great-great-grandfather, and they redid that house. But my husband and I moved into the house I grew up in that my dad built. So been there most of my life. So I'm familiar with Waverly a bit. My brother actually used to work here as for the Sheriff's Department, Devin Haynes. So I have familiarity with Burlington a bit, visiting him and everything. But yeah, I love the town, and I can't wait to get to know everybody.
Very good, welcome.
Thank you,
Welcome,
thank you.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will definitely need it, I'm sure. Thank you.
Well,
Guys,
thank
have a
you
good
for
day.
coming by.
Yes, thank you.
Sickling right along, Ryan Dirks, you're up, Road and Bridge.
Good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
How's everybody doing today?
Hey, good.
Present accounted for.
We had one call out, been yesterday, just straight across the road down around Gridley. So I had to go out and take care of that. And then it was a quiet weekend.
Quiet weekends are good.
Yeah, no, I like those. I guess I would like to request an executive session for discussion of job performance of non-elected personnel for the board, myself and Wade, for 15 minutes.
Okay. Motion executive session, 15 minutes, the board and county councilor Wade Bowie regarding employee performance, non-elected personnel. Let's see, KSA 754319B, Part 1.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Meeks, seconded by Thompson. All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion passes. We will enter at 9:16 for 15 minutes. $9:16 by my clock. Mine says 9:12.
All right, after discussion, talking about some of the interviews that we did for the assistant road and bridge supervisor, just a couple of things I'd like to hit on for the one that we were looking at selecting here. This position prior, when I had it, I took a county vehicle home, so that's no longer going to be in place, except for when they're on call, they will take a county vehicle home. So it'll be a handful of times a year that happens. And he will be over a family member, supervision-wise. But one thing to point out, I mean, Adam Hoke, as the supervisor, is ultimately he's the one in charge of our department. The assistant supervisor works underneath his direction. So, and he was, the best applicant that we interviewed for the job. So I'd like to move forward with motion 2023-47, please.
Motion is to review, approve CP2 payroll notice for Clinton Souder, Assistant Road and Bridge Supervisor, Highway, promotion wage, classification 55-9 to a 60-12, from a wage of $29.23 $32.58, effective date 7/24/23.
I so move.
Moved by Thompson,
I'll second.
seconded by Meats. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Next motion I have would be to advertise an in-house for, assistant fleet foreman, which was Clinton's prior position, and looking to fill that position.
Motion to advertise in-house for one full-time assistant fleet foreman. No new positions being added. This request will only fill a current vacant position within the department. I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by Knight, seconded by Meats. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The last thing I have, I know we've got a work session coming up for landfill. Some discussion there, so I've just got some information for you guys prior to that, just on some surrounding counties rates, and then, kind of proposed race that we're kind of looking at going to, so you guys can have that before our work session.
Okay, one of the, send one of the. Is it right here?
This is one.
Bring me one back, please.
Thank you. All right, got it. Did I confuse you?
But when
Yeah, go ahead and throw one on Tom's.
Yeah.
And other than that, that's all I had for today. Unless you guys have anything else for me?
This is,
Is there more?
Pardon?
Is there more over there?
Well, there's two stuck together there, you'll wait. Sorry about that.
When is this work session?
I think it's next Monday.
Is that from Monday? I just wanna make sure I
Should
have
be at
that.
1 o'clock, I think.
Yes, oh wait. Oh, I have it at 11:30.
Okay.
Do I need to change it?
No, I'm fine with whatever works for you guys.
Okay.
we might have to move it to 1, but you could throw it in 11 or 11:30, whatever it is. I mean, there's gonna be quite a bit of discussion. For it to take a half hour is probably not realistic.
We can shoot for a half hour, and hopefully, I mean, it may take a little longer than that. But
Yeah.
so,
You said you had it for 11:30 or 11?
11:30.
11:30?
Go below.
Yeah. Because there's a resolution here we'd have, we'd have to pass a resolution to, yeah, it might happen in 30 minutes.
Okay.
Brian, looking at Allen County, does Allen County have anything in writing? Does it only allow 13 approved counties and that requires commercial to provide address and phone number?
so with Allen County, when I asked about out of county, they said they don't take it, but they do allow for 13 surrounding counties, and it's different. There's a couple dollar difference in the rates that they charge to those counties. So that would be probably the one thing that I'd be looking at with our resolution, as we're raising our out-of-county rates, would be the Woodson County. They bring a lot of stuff up here. I mean, that's, that county service. So I'd probably look at doing something similar to that. I think there should be a reduced out-of-county rate for them. Because they're county government, they're down there benefiting their citizens, so I think that's a little different scenario than some of the other out-of-county stuff coming in.
But still, it's at the cost of our citizens too.
No, that's right.
And I mean, we gotta make sure it's taking care of their,
Right.
what it's gonna cost.
Right.
Our cost of
Yeah,
that,
our cost. You know, I mean, I can understand giving the county a little bit of a break.
No, and then that's what you gotta take into consideration, because with what they're paying at Allen County, you know, if we decide to go ahead and raise those rates, then they'll just start dumping down there, and we won't be taking in that. And so, you know, when you start looking at the dollar figure there, you're actually gonna hurt yourself if you charge them too much, just because they can dump either place for essentially about the same. You know, even if we raise a few dollars on them, but if you raise it too high, then they won't be bringing that in here. And, you know, it's all what we're after. If we're just, if we don't mind spending more of our dollars to operate the landfill for our citizens, I mean, obviously that's our first and foremost, you know, that's what we're here for. So we want to keep our costs as low as we can for them, is my opinion there. You know, but you're also trying to offset some of our operational costs, which I'll have some of that data next week too, on what, you know, what we bring in each year in the landfill, and how that, you know, how that covers our cost out there, operational cost. That's kind of been our goal, is what we bring in to cover the day-to-day operations out there, as far as equipment and personnel. So, you know, if you know, Woodson County, they're one of our bigger out-of-county haulers. It's a big bulk of what our out-of-county stuff is. So if you start price them out to where they don't bring it in here, then, you know, our overall end of the year number is gonna go down by doing that.
Which is gonna cost you, operating costs.
So that's, yeah, so there's, I mean, it's a lot of things to look at and consider there, for what's the best decision and right decision for us.
Right.
A lot of things to, wade through to make
No,
sure.
that's right. So this
You don't
is
cut your
just
nose off to spite your face.
everything, I mean, in a nutshell, what the surrounding prices are, and then, you know, I've got a little more information we'll go over as far as some operational costs and what we're trying to cover, and, you know, some amounts that we're bringing in from out of county, and go from there.
How did the Lebo, old police station, fire station come in?
Fine, as far as I know. I haven't checked with them this morning. I know a lot of that come in at the end of last week,
Yeah.
so,
Looked like Brad was doing a pretty good job sorting it.
yeah.
Putting
When I
some
went,
blocks
I
in
checked
there.
on Lebo a couple times, and, yeah, definitely, they were getting stuff sorted.
Be good to get that old building down.
Right.
Trying to talk about 55-gallon barrels and all the chemicals that's being used here in the county. Do you have any trouble with barrels or tanks or stuff coming in where they're not totally clean, rinsed out, as they're supposed to be?
Not to my knowledge.
Not sure.
You know, the 55-gallon drums that's on there, I mean, that deals with being permitted through KDHE, that's special waste, on what that price sheet is there. But to my knowledge, as far as just some of the chemical totes, stuff like that, I don't.
Chemical totes get pretty darn empty. They've got the dished
Yeah.
out bottom that goes
Right.
right down to the spouts.
They gotta rinse them out 3 times to be legal, too. And it's pretty hard, even 3 times, to get some of those tanks empty,
Right.
because the pump, that pipe's a little bit off the bottom of it, so. We've discussed here in the last several months, off and on, about replacing the river bridge there at Leroy.
Yeah.
The Freeman family, when you go up that road to the west, Freeman family owns that 8, 10, 12 acre timber there. They're cleaning that thing up. That used to be the city park 70 years ago. Of course, now it's all grown up to everything, and they're cleaning it up. I talked to Jeff, run into him, the son. The old bridge, was it south? The old wooden bridge, was it south of what's there now? Or you know?
I thought it was to the north, but I don't.
I was gonna talk to Kara this morning, and she wasn't in early, and I was gonna talk to, Mrs. Burke, can't even think of her first,
When?
yeah, Gwen, and, see what, you know, see who owned what on each side. But I know they don't wanna clean that park completely up, you know, if we're gonna move that bridge to the south,
Right.
and take 50 or 60 feet. So I didn't know what your plans were.
I've honestly got 0 plans at this point. I mean, would be discussion to start having with an engineer, start moving forward with getting plans developed on that, and an idea of where that would be. You know, I presumed it would go to the north side, but that's just looking at it and what it looks like on the ground, it seems like that would make sense, but, you know, an engineer may have different reasonings on why.
I just don't I just don't recall where the old wooden bridge was.
Yeah.
But I know Jeff thought it was on the south side, but I couldn't
I
say
think
yes
it
or,
may
I
have
couldn't say
been.
yes or no.
It may have been for some
And as
reason.
big as some of the trees are, in that, you know, within 30 feet of that, the roadway, I'd almost bet it was on the north side too. Some of those trees are 70 or 80 years old.
Yeah,
They're big, so.
yeah,
So I was gonna see if I could locate who owned what and how far.
right,
'Cause we may not even have to buy any ground, you know, if it's in the county's name or city's
Right.
name or whatever.
right.
So I'll get that and may holler at you sometime.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan.
That bridge looks awful good from the top, but evidently there's some issues.
Yeah, and that's, you know,
Evidently some issues underneath.
well, that's where we need to start working with the engineer on what, you know, to rehab and fix what's there. You know, I've always kind of been under the assumption that it would cost more to fix that bridge and get it up, get the weight limits up to what today's standards are than it would be to replace it. So, I mean, I don't know what those costs are on paper and what they look like side by side, but that would all be stuff that would be done, obviously, prior to us moving forward. But it's definitely time to start, getting a plan, because, you know, that is a high dollar bridge, and, you know, we definitely need to be on the front end of that, get things figured out on what the right approach to fixing it is.
How are they coming on the 75 highway, shoulder extension or,
We've gotten,
turning lanes and
Yeah, we got the-
accelerating?
we got the final plans back from the state a few weeks ago. We reviewed them in our office, and I think, I want to say this fall possibly, that project may be ready to go bid, similar to about the old 50, I think. But, the bridge is down on Homestead. They poured the deck on the north bridge last week, so they're moving right along with that. They'll be looking at starting the bridge up there by Waverly, Coopman's Bridge, once they get the first bridge completed down here. So I think that one's scheduled to start about a month earlier than they were anticipating, so.
Recently, you said something about the bridges on 19th, they was gonna come in and grind that.
Yeah,
Did that?
I don't have the schedule.
Okay.
I mean, we've been in contact with them. I mean, it's gonna kind of work into the back end of their asphalt stuff.
Still those asphalt stuff?
Yeah. I know we've got 3 other spots on some patchwork on some culverts that we cut out,
Oh,
that
okay.
we're trying to get done also.
Okay. I knew there, it was tied in with something. else. I
Yeah,
couldn't remember
yeah,
what
so we're
it
just
was.
trying to tie them 4 little locations in together, so.
Okay. I don't have anything else for you, Ryan, unless you guys do. Anybody?
All right, thank you, have a good week.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
We've got a little extra time here. Carl, you need something?
Nope, just in here to listen for the 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Is 10 o'clock ready?
They're not here yet.
Oh, he's
He's
not.
here to observe.
Oh, he's here to observe, okay. Well, I thought that was it, but,
He'll be here with that group.
we've got some checks and vouchers we can run
Yeah,
through,
yeah, that'd be great.
or if anybody needs a break. How's the brakes going? Brakes good?
Yep.
Need a break? Or you wanna roll on?
Well, oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. We got some special issue checks we can roll.
Just keep on trucking.
Yeah, just keep on rolling. Testing. Electron.
Heard anything from, Christian Brown? Haven't heard anything back.
I talked to a friend of the family's again, and she said he's definitely interested, but his schedule is just kind of wild right now.
And he's pretty busy.
I'll continue to keep trying to reach out.
Wade, did you guys get the printer or the copier all set up?
It's, thought it might be here today. I cut some of the features to save some money, and they had the special order that. So we've been borrowing from others in the meantime, but hopefully we'll be up and operational soon. While you're sitting idle, you'll see in front of you, I think there's
Several big print-offs.
2, maybe 3.
Mhm.
This is the 50% plan, 35 pages long. At the request of Commissioner Huguenin, he thought it might be wise to have copies available so if somebody wanted to see and not on regular 8.5 by 11 paper, because some of the details on these plans are so
Detailed
you'll,
and small.
you'll have to have a magnifying glass even possibly still, but at least it's better than what they were. So these are the 50%, and then as you recall, they'll be 75% and then 100, or 90. So that's kind of where we are right now. There's copies. I didn't want to have too many copies, but there are 3 copies in here. The sheriff has a copy, I have an extra copy, and if anybody else needs copies, they're available.
I think one of those tearing copies is something here, and he was in here either last week or 2 weeks ago, he carried them out, but they were big sheets, but I don't know what they were.
Yep. So if you wanna, and Don, I know you like to analyze things, you could probably take one and you might be like me. On the right-hand side of all of these are the legends, what each one of the numbers corresponds to.
Yeah.
So if you wanna take a look in your free time, and that way it helps generate questions for later if you have any. I told the sheriff that the whole purpose of what's happening is to get a new jail. And the last time the numbers were before the board, the project was a couple million, almost $3 million. And everybody said, oh, well, it's anticipated it'll be fine. That,
We're just concerned.
yeah, no, and rightfully so. But I told the sheriff that my suggestion would be, since the whole intent and idea is to get a new jail, that the sheriff should not be the only one to have to cut. Because, so, I don't know that it amounts to anything substantial, but the county attorney's office needs to be cut. If he's being cut, then the county attorney's office needs to be cut. And the same thing on the court side. Everybody should have to cut.
Well, we just need to, if we're gonna cut, we need to figure out where we can.
Sure.
I mean, and I see really in the county attorney side of only growing and more staff. You don't have the growth and the staff availability where you're at right now, without being several doors down or even a floor down.
Sure.
So I can really see the importance of the county attorney's office being all in one area. It's one stop. It's easier for everybody to come in, get everything they need to hit, visit whoever they need to visit with at one stop. But, you know, there could possibly be part of the court system that might have to be dollar-wise cut, and I don't know how that works with the attorney's office. I don't know.
I'm just saying that I think everybody, that if the sheriff has to cut, then I think the county attorney and the court side should have to figure out where they can cut as well.
Personally, I feel that the only persons need to be cutting is the person bringing us the drawings.
But,
Because we was at 25 million, we, the commission, gave a 5 million buffer, and they've done chewed it up, plus another 2 million, or 3 million.
You started out at 25.
Yeah, 25, 26, somewhere's in there. And the commission said we're gonna allow, we'll put a buffer in there up to 30. Well, they've done blown through that, and now they're into another 3 million on top of that. So, I don't have a feeling that anybody needs to cut inside Coffee County,
sure.
my personal opinion.
And I appreciate that, and that, I've been a part of those conversations from the beginning as well, but if it's gonna get done, it looks like somewhere has to be cut.
I hope not.
And I hope not too, but just in anticipation that may have to happen. The lion's share of the cost is attributed to the sheriff and the jail, and that makes sense. But even if $50,000, $100,000 on the county attorney or the court side, it's taxpayer money, and I think everybody needs to be a part of the solution. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate your comment, but I'm with Jesse too. And I don't know how far that's going to go, but we shouldn't always have to be the one to give.
Well, we haven't even hit oops yet.
Yeah.
And oops over there is gonna be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, it could be big things.
That's just like they didn't know if there was anything underneath the concrete. Why do we not know this? You guys were supposed to drill and check for stuff like that.
Like the old jail or something
Yeah.
over there.
So, I don't. If there's any oopses, I have to haul me out of here.
All the companies that's been working on the jail project, every one of them knew that 30 million was our top number.
Mm-hmm.
My question is why they even brought it in. I have a problem with their professionalism, why they brought it in at over 3 million above.
Mm-hmm.
And now they think they can probably reduce it down.
Okay.
But that same thing at Osage City. They lowered theirs. Larry Goldberg, they lowered it 6 or 7%. And maybe that's customary, I don't know. But, why'd they bring it in when they knew 30 was it?
That's why I said what I said.
Takes you right to 10.
Perfect.
Are you done now, Lou?
Done with one of them. If you want, I can cover the next thing.
Go ahead.
Won't take long. Just so you're aware, Wednesday, HR Partners will be here, and we're having a meeting with myself, Angie, the sheriff, Ryan from Road and Bridge, and we're going to be meeting to talk about some of the proposed policies that need to be adjusted that don't cover 8 to 5 employees. And there are just some wording that needs to be modified or changed. So, just so you're aware that that's occurring because of that, the policy manual sort of looming in the background. It's getting everybody together, getting some of the wording adjusted, and then that will be brought before the board, hopefully for the final version. But instead of doing it backwards, where the final version comes before the board, and that has to be modified because it does not take into account those who don't work on a regular 8 to 5 schedule, I think that's what needs to happen. So that's been working behind the scenes. Commissioner McCurry was also to be a part of that discussion as well, and I'm not sure if he's available or not. I'll reach out to him. If he's not available, then I may request one of you participate.
Okay. I'd be more than glad if nobody, I know Wade's probably gonna be in the hayfield burning up, so.
Pretty messed up here.
What day you have, they have that meeting, they show?
It's Wednesday from, I think it starts at 2.
Two,
Is it 2 or 10? I can't remember.
10.
It may be 10.
Might be.
I've got so many meetings right now.
Might be 10 till 2.
Could be.
Might be
It might be
10.
from, actually, I think it's from 10 to noon.
10 to noon, probably.
And I've got another one from 2 to 4 on that same day. So just FYI, so you don't think it's been lost in the shuffle, but when that policy manual gets changed, it needs to be changed and done, so we don't have to come back and revisit it over and over and over again.
Yes.
And that's the goal with those departments, because the sheriff has a completely different schedule, and so does Road and Bridge in certain
Certain
situations.
times. Okay, very well. 10 o'clock, Burns and McDonald, Program Management CHIPS Project. Saban, Bobby, introduce, whatever.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I was, am I off center on purpose, or, no, we're good, okay.
Whatever you want. How you doing,
It just felt a little weird, you know, I'm doing good, had a good weekend, and, I should prompt and say that I told Bobby I'll be working this week, but then first time in my 37-year career, I'm gonna take 2 weeks vacation consecutively, so, I've never done that before, so let's see how it goes.
You might not want to come back to work.
I think maybe you're ready for that after 37 years.
Yeah, I had a boss, many years ago that, he used to tell me, he'd say, you need to always take more than a week off. And I'm like, well, why is that? He said, because then everybody in the office, they can't say, well, he'll be back in a week. They have to deal with whatever the phone call is. So even if you get back after, don't come back, just, anyway. No, appreciate the time, Bobby got us on the calendar. More than anything, this is an introduction. We want to introduce you to some folks from Burns and McDonald. If you remember, as we've been walking through the CHIPS Act project, the covered entities had a selection committee that was used to find a program management agent for the overall project up at Vito Junction. And I was asked to facilitate that on your behalf. As a clarification, the county did not have a vote. We really just assisted in putting out the RFP, shortlisting that RFP by the selection committee, and then scheduling the interviews. 3 groups were interviewed, 5 submitted, and through that interview process of the selection committee, Burns and McDonald was selected to be the program management agent. Their role is, we're still working through the definitions of all that in their scope of work. The covered entities are involved in that, and again, I'm kind of facilitating that. But we wanted to just more than anything have a couple of their key people that will be involved in the project come and introduce themselves to you all, so that there's kind of you'll know who's overseeing this and looking after not only the covered entities' interests, but your interests, because you guys have put so much at stake into this package.
My interest is who's paying for them.
The covered entities.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's get that out of the way real quick. So But it is important that you know who that group is, that they can come to you with reports, that they, where they're working in the progress, they're looking after your interests. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Burns and Mac folks and let them introduce themselves.
Pretty good introduction yourself. Hi, I'm Matt Carpenter. I'm with Burns McDonnell, so I'll be kind of leading the effort.
Nathan Benjamin, I'm also based out of Kansas City with Burns & Mac. I'm the Director of Strategic Growth. We're excited to be here today and to be able to work with you guys, and if you want to run through some overview.
Yeah, so without a sales pitch, so Burns McDonnell's been in business since 1898. We're headquartered in Kansas City. About half of our 10,000 employees are located there. We also have an office in Wichita and Oklahoma City. Our first project was actually a power and water plant for Iola, and so right here in the Midwest. So we're a design build general contractor, so we do engineering and we do construction. Our role on this program for these entities is to serve as owner's project management agent, which is sometimes called program management. And so that's just kind of keeping the eye on the overall progress. As you're aware, there's lots of entities involved, lots of different people involved in their consortium. And so we'll be serving as kind of a single point of responsibility, not only for collecting and aggregating information, being a single point of contact, but our role is to also be reporting to the financial side of the house. They have a fiduciary that's going to be taking care of that, but our role is to be actually confirming and collecting schedule information, progress, and be able to say that, yes, these dollars that are being spent this month are going to an appropriate amount of progress that's being made on what's going to end up being multiple projects. We're going to be aggregating it all up into a single, not only for dashboard reporting and overall coordination, but also to be able to say that, yeah, the quality of information we're receiving from contractors, it's organized in a way that has clarity so that we know that they're actually on track for where they say they are. So it's actually a role we do quite a bit at Burns McDonnell on lots of different organizations and business lines, and then it also allows us, if we need to, we have our own project controls and scheduling group, we have our own cost management group, we can even get involved in engineering. Something that's been important for these programs is evaluating getting large quantities of construction labor to this location so that the projects are able to meet their schedule requirements. And the applications for some of the CHIPS grant funding have made some of those plans a requirement, to be able to show that at the end of the day, the goal for all of us is for these projects to be successful and to proceed as planned. And so that's kind of where we come in. But we can also serve as a single point of contact for the entity, so you're not having to call 6 different companies to get a status on the overall progress.
Yeah, just to kind of build on that, we like complicated projects. This has a lot of different projects and entities involved in it, and we can leverage a lot of the complicated project processes we've developed over time to help manage and hold people accountable throughout this entire project. So as we go through and do provide some of those updates that Matt was saying, we're using a lot of these processes and things that we've repeatedly refined over the years with different projects and very complicated projects to be able to pull this and bring it in a presentable format to you all and to the community.
And something we also talked about is outside of the covered entities that form the base consortium, we also recognize there's several other ancillary projects that are going to require coordination. And to be honest, I've been at Burns McDonnell 22 years, so I don't have the 37 that Saban has, but one of the key things that we do is we organize our reporting and the organization of our projects to the needs of customers. And so if this particular project is going to get its own custom setup based on, there's going to be these folks have financial interest, these folks have interest in the progress of it, and then maybe these other folks just need to coordinate as far as my facility needs to come online at the same time that yours is needing it. We're used to doing all of that. We like complicated stuff. We do quite a bit of stuff with government funding attached to it, so we're very familiar with small business requirements, as well as just as a good corporate citizen, we maintain relationships with small disadvantaged businesses. We know that actually Coffee County is still listed as a hub zone, which actually gives you an advantage for some of those requirements as well. So we're happy to help leverage the investment that the county has made to help the overall program be successful.
You have somebody on site every day, Matt?
Yeah, That's the goal. So we're still working, as Saban said, on the specific setup of how many folks that is gonna be. But yes, we will have full-time representation. And it's likely to be, more than one person, because we'll have cost folks, schedule folks. We have a system that we use called Field Progress Measurement System that we'll be standing that up for the different entities, and then we'll be tracking and reporting and then aggregating that so that if somebody says I'm 67% complete, we've got the data to back it up with field observations to back it up to show that the progress that's been reported and billed for this month, we put eyes on it and we can confirm that that's a legitimate amount of money to spend for a given time period based on the progress that's been observed.
And especially with proximity, of 5,000 of our folks are just literally in Kansas City, an hour and 15 minutes from where we're at today. So having that easy access to bring in additional people to support the local people that will be on site as needed, quarterly, monthly, whatever that would be, to bring in people.
It allows, so if our full-time folks on site need additional support, it allows quick responsiveness to augment that team. And, we'll be establishing that cadence. We'll establish rules of credit for earnings on progress, and that all gets aggregated down into the different projects, because they're not all going to execute on the exact same schedule, but we're going to have commonality of the tools so that it's not learning a new language every time that you're evaluating a different project. We're going to keep them all speaking the same language so that it all aggregates up into a common report. So,
If you're representing us as a county, how often do you report to us?
so as Saban said, we're being paid for by the covered entities, but obviously the county has a big stake in all of that. And so I think we can establish that cadence, whether we want to do it on a periodic basis. The other thing is we'll be preparing reports for the fiduciary for the financial side, and a lot of the information that the county would be interested in is already going to be contained in those reports. And so I think what we'll end up doing is we'll stand up those draft monthly reports with the fiduciary, and we can share some of that with the county. And then if there's additional information that the county's interested in that isn't normally included, we'll just make sure that gets added to those. And since we're gonna be right here, obviously, we can have folks available to meet anytime it's needed.
Are the two of you assigned to this? I mean, will you people be the ones we're getting reports from, or will it be various people throughout the time, or?
So I personally am planning on being start to finish. I have an implementation team that will have initially standing it up as far as establishing criteria, writing some of the flow downs in the contract, standing up some of the tracking tools. So some of those folks are coming in kind of early on in the process, and then once that's established, I'll be the one that stays through completion.
Okay, thank you.
Will Camshaw is another person on our team. He wasn't able to make it this morning, but he'll be a main point of contact in addition. Matt will run primary point of contact, but Will will be actually involved. I will be involved as needed on the project, but won't be a day-to-day interaction on the field.
And what was your name again?
Nathan Benjamin.
Okay, yeah, I didn't get that. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, and something we hadn't mentioned yet, one of the things Howell is doing is, as you're aware, the covered entities are finalizing some of their applications for federal funding. So we've been assisting with that because obviously the federal government, just like the county, is going to want to make sure that these entities have a good plans for success. They've got the right parties on board. They have a good understanding of the requirements they're signing up for. And so we've been assisting with that process, not leading it, but providing additional information on how they can provide information to their application that says this project's going to be successful.
Well, I think that's going to be huge. I mean, there are so many different things that are going to have to come together here to make this all work as planned. A lot of planning, obviously.
Right, yeah, and part of it, like we said, is to help add some commonality to different plans so that you can have lots of different parties involved, and we want to get everybody at least reporting in the same format so that you're not getting 5 data sets from 5 different entities with different information in each one that don't even tell you where you're at overall.
Yeah, you got to have public communication go back out to all those people too.
And then our job is checking the quality of that data as well to confirm that if they claim that this milestone is going to happen 3 months from now, we need to understand what's the successors and predecessors to that. What do they need to make sure is already in place now so that that's successful? And that's something we do every day as a constructor. So we're actually, frankly, we're pretty excited about this.
Right.
This program.
We are too.
So, yes, technically, as I understand it, right, you're working for us, but your billings will go to all these businesses out there?
Well,
How's that prorated out between that many businesses that you're gonna be looking over?
so we're working at standing that up, and it's, you know, they have a financial fiduciary that's gonna be kind of the hub for the dollars, so there's not individual companies writing checks every month. It'll be coming out of that, and the way that it gets proportioned is gonna be, you know, we're gonna work together with the entities to understand level of effort. Now, the other thing I'll say is that some of these entities are a little bit ahead of the curve from others, and so there will probably be some individual efforts assigned to each company, but then there's the overall effort associated with some of the more common tasks, and those will likely get proportioned out based on the size of their facility. So, and some of that's still happening, but it's no different than how they're parsing the land.
I just want to add too, when you talk about proportioning, Matt's correct, we're still working out some of those details, but for example, even the financing plans that Greg has been working on from Raymond James, there has been some agreed upon, I'll call it percentage layout of responsibility for each of the companies based on some factors that they all agreed upon. They're now discussing kind of those percentages based on this type of work. So, because some will be starting ahead of others, how do we make sure their contract is being, handled appropriately and everyone's getting paid appropriately? But then stair-stepping folks into that process, if I'm making sense. So, that's what's getting worked out in the contract that we're going to work out with Burns McDonnell. There's been quite a bit of discussion on percentage of responsibility based on the footprint and other factors.
I'm kind of curious how that would all.
Yeah.
Well, and to be honest, it's something we're very comfortable with. It's commonly done as far as, you know, even if I'm doing construction and I'm gonna lay out each month, I'm gonna have this percent of each of these trades, so that on any given month I know how much I'm spending on any given category. No different with different funding sources, and we're very much used to doing that. We have customers that are government contractors, so they've got a federal component, they've got maybe a capital and expense component. This is no different. It's just other entities that are paying for it. As far as, you know, what's our total level of effort for any given time period? How is that being spent on behalf of each of the owners? And then how are we allocating that financially? So, like we both just said, it's still being developed, but it's nothing unusual. It's pretty common practice.
You know, this is one huge project up there compared to what we've done before, other than the nuclear plant.
Mm-hmm.
There's bound to be a lot of change orders in the 2-year process of building. With you overlooking the construction, is your company the one that issues the exchange orders?
So the money doesn't flow through us, but we would very much be expected to be involved in signing off on whether or not is it a legitimate entitlement? Is the dollar amount that's being requested by the contractor appropriate? And we would be making those recommendations to the fiduciary. Even before we get to that point, obviously, our job is to be confirming that there's the requirements of each project are well understood and documented. We're expecting all of these to be delivered by design build, which means that the upfront scoping documents, it's very important that the owners know what they're buying, contractor knows what they're signing up for, so that if somebody says, I think this is a change, that we can pull out the contract, pull out the initial documents that were used as the basis of that contract to say, no, this feature of work was already a requirement. Or, yes, the owner asked for an additional one of these widgets, and so here's where you were notified that they want the extra widget. Here's where you notified the owner there may be costs associated with it. Here's where the owner says proceed with an estimate, and then we'll review those estimates. So, I mean, that's something we're very comfortable with. We even, Sabin even indicated that one of the contractors is kind of glad to see somebody's in that role, and that's because we can speak the same language of saying, yes, Mr. Owner, you are asking for additional scope. Do you still want to proceed, knowing that here's the estimate for that? And if directed to proceed, we'll work on their behalf to confirm that the cost is appropriate for that additional feature of work. So we expect to be, advisors in that role, and ultimately somebody's got to sign off and say this contractor's charging you a fair price for this additional scope of work.
I'm sure you guys are doing this on a percentage of the total gross, is that how that's working out?
So normally the way we would do it is we would agree on the base load staffing that would be required to run a project like this. Because whether I'm doing $2 or $2 million on a day, if I'm working on it 8 hours, I'm gonna charge you the same level of effort. Now, if we do have a change that comes in and I say, you know what, I'm gonna bring on an estimating team, and we're gonna do an independent estimate of this change order to confirm the price is fair, we would likely agree on a quantity of hours associated with performing the additional tasks like that. So all we're really getting paid here is level of effort. We're not being paid percentage markup. We're not contractors or engineers. We could do construction, we could do engineering, we could do that as a separate task. Some of that we're precluded from doing because we're sort of acting on your behalf. We have to make sure that there's not a conflict of interest. So the majority of what we're providing here is management labor, which will, like I said, we'll work with everybody, and maybe we start out with a certain number of people, and then as additional projects come on board, we'll agree to add additional staff in different roles, and that's really how our compensation is based on. So.
You see the smoke rolling out of my head, don't you?
But for example, I will say is if I'm approving on $1 million change order or what have you, I don't benefit from the dollar amount of that. I benefit on providing good service to my customer and putting my name on the line that's a legitimate amount.
How busy is your business?
We're appropriately busy. I mean, as far as availability of resources for this, you guys are kind of a premium spot for a lot of our people to have a place to work. So I don't think we'll have any trouble providing the resources that you need for these.
And be pretty centrally located, I think.
Right, yeah,
It's
to be honest, it's a big project for the county, but it's also a pretty attractive project for people in my business. I mean, this is you guys are entering a market here that's very popular right now, and so everybody wants to be seen as supporting that market, so.
Have you ever done anything with jails?
Me personally, no, but I believe our company probably has quite a bit.
Yeah, we have done, we have done in our commercial group.
I used to do water and wastewater stuff. That was kind of as municipal as I got.
It'll be needed up there too.
Yeah. I'm sure we could provide some help with that. Or recommendations, so.
Interesting. Very good.
What is your anticipated go live date, up in that area? And the reason I ask is, at the same time, there's a jail project that's moving in the background.
Okay.
So the two may compete for contractors, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's possible. I think they're showing mobilization kind of late this year, early next year, the majority of it. The trades that we're gonna be competing for are probably gonna be different types and different sizes. Obviously, the site work package is gonna be the first part, and it's gonna be very large. CFS is, you guys are kind of leading that right now.
Yeah, we've kind of completed the grading plan already, so we've gone beyond just the concept drawing you've seen. We've been sharing that with the covered entities, so that as they bring their design build contractors on board, we're already kind of verifying data, cut fill, quantities. The next piece will be some drainage work, but to Matt's point, I expect that we would start seeing real construction in 2024 early, just because once the covered entities find out where they're finding, the federal number versus where the other dollars are coming from, we'll get a go to continue on with the design of that site work, which would include drainage, the roadway, all the utility stuff, that we could then be providing that, at least that grading plan, so contractors can get going in early 2024. And then you'll see the other components come on board. But Matt is correct. I think that what we've been hearing from the covered entities, I hate to speak for them, but Bobby, I think could confirm this, is that going after these federal dollars, you're looking at contractors that have an expertise in semiconductor and in fab facilities. These are a little different type of general contractors than ones that might be building a jail or building a school facility. Doesn't mean that there might be subcontractors under these expertise folks, but I do think it'll kind of sort itself out, since it may not be as much of an issue for your jail work as might be concerned.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is it's probably worthy of coordination with other large projects in the area. You know, a couple of reasons is if there's a subcontractor that does $1 million a year in construction, and we both sign $1 million contract with them on the same day, maybe the two entities or two projects just put that person overworked for the year, which means they're gonna get behind. So some of that coordination would be good. It's also important to make sure we're not only subcontractors and contractors, but individual tradespeople, so that we're not, you know, competing for labor, that sort of thing. So it's worthy of being aware that it's going on. You know, even within our own project, we've had those discussions, as if you're building a building A and building B, you want to make sure that you're aligned on your pay scale, so that you don't have people leaving one job to go to another one that pays another $1 or $2 an hour for the same trade. And then as Saban said, we're expecting a lot of these to be specialty contractors, but we're also expecting some of the more general subcontractors. Concrete's concrete, some of this will be more complicated than others. Some of it will be site work, you know, curb and gutter, some of it will be flat work, and some will be foundations. So, lots of different sub-trades even within individual trades.
But I think on the communication side will be important, and as we are bringing in people even from outside of the area, in addition to supplement the people that will be busy and working on these projects, but, you know, for housing and just coordination and knowing what's coming up on the overall staffing required for these projects, I think it'll be good to keep an open dialogue about that and communicate both on the other projects you guys have outside of the ones we're working on, and also us to you all as well.
And the application for the funding, it has a lot of those requirements too, of labor incentives, transportation for the construction labor, you know, the daycare provisions have been discussed. And frankly, some of that's going to be needed anyway. We want to be the best place to work at in this region for construction, because we want to attract the right quantity of highly skilled construction folks, and we want them to want to be here. You know, we even have discussed things like providing nice break and restroom facilities. It's large enough project that we can give them something a little better than what they can get on the average construction site, and make it a more pleasant place. Because frankly, we want these folks, we need them to be successful, and we want them to go to work every day feeling like these people want me here.
Right.
So.
It's important.
And it can get cold and windy up there July or January. Cold and windy.
And hot and windy too.
And hot and windy.
Well, and obviously in the construction business, we have to keep that in mind of some work is okay in January, some isn't okay, and so, you know, making sure that if there's a shift in schedule, either left or right, that we're not moving work into a part of the year that it's gonna be unpleasant, so, or difficult, or expensive.
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, I'm sure we'll be in front of you again, hopefully with some more details, but it's really nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Excited about the
Thank you for coming down.
For the
Couple
information.
quick wrap-ups.
Appreciate you being in, but Saban's always in contact with us.
Couple quick wrap-ups just to kind of give you some other background. The selection committee, it was a great process, and you've heard some of the reasons why these folks were selected. I hope you gathered that in the conversation, because really the experience that they bring with some specifics to this type of construction, and what they demonstrated in the interview too, that was very well received by the selection committee, was these tools that Matt and Nathan have talked about, which is how they can communicate what's going on with the project on a regular basis. And that was really important, because, you know, again, you're not going to be up there every day, but if there are tools, we call them dashboard tools, that can give you quick updates, be meaningful information that you can get a sense of what's going on with the project. They demonstrated that very well, and that was important in the selection committee. So I just wanted to share that with you. That much of that is what these folks bring in expertise. So, again, always good to see you.
Can I add one thing? Also, if Greg was here, he would say this, but similar to what the county just went through with the issuing debt for the construction of the jail, there are people, there at the end of the money, there's a bond investor. And when these companies, now that they're getting to the point, they're starting to go out and test the market and get bond buyers lined up. For this project, because it's a private project for the most part, the covered entities are private, they don't want to put the fate of those bond funds that they invest in at risk. So the primary function of this program management, the very first primary function, is to protect the bond investor's dollar change orders and stuff like that aren't gonna be as okay on a, on an 80 million plus, 100 million plus project as they would be for a small amount of money. So these bond investors require program management. The trustee will contract with the program management to make sure that the dollar of work performed actually equals the dollar of work requested to be paid. So that's
Checks and balances is all it is.
Gives
Checks and
them
balances.
assurance.
Yeah, and they're not paying for goodwill, they're paying for real installed property.
Right, right.
correct.
Thank you. Got someone overseeing it that way, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Stay cool outside. Maybe a break? You all right? Good. We'll keep on rolling. Mr. Bowie, you're up, sir. Again. Or you want to wait?
45.
Huh?
So, before 10:45, I need to request I want to say 5, but maybe 10-minute executive session, myself, the board. It's going to be attorney-client, provide legal advice related to related to the pending contract for Sunset Bank.
Okay, very good.
Just a couple extra minutes or good.
Where you're moving, where you're touching this, huh?
All right, down.
Nothing's coming up on mine.
That's mine.
Yeah, we're all right.
Yours is coming up?
Yeah, things around us.
It's all around us.
There it is.
Oh,
Pop
okay.
up now, Don.
Rain came through on Saturday.
Nothing here is.
Still not?
Okay, you took out Road and Bridge, okay. Motion to enter executive session for 10 minutes to include each commissioner, county councilor, Wade Bowie, to discuss matters deemed privilege and attorney-client relationship regarding legal advice related to pending contract for Sunset Manor under Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-4319B2.
B2.
I will move.
I'll second that.
Moved by Knight, seconded by Thompson. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. I did say for 10 minutes, didn't I? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We will enter at 10:36 by my call.
That's 10:33.
Yep.
That next time, nope. We better enter at 10:37. 10:37. Because it just didn't change. Let Wade take the wheel.
Yeah. So, the Sunset Manor, I guess, is sort of the hot topic right now, and I asked to be put on the agenda to update not only the board, but the public at large. I don't remember the dates, I don't have the timeline in front of me. The property went out for sealed bids. One sealed bid came in, and the name of that entity was disclosed, but the offer price and the county's counter have not been publicly disclosed. And I think that's been explained multiple times for the reasons for doing so. So the present position we find ourselves in, earnest money has been sent to Coffee County Land Title. That cannot be disclosed, at least at this point in time. I think there are ethical duties and responsibilities on the real estate side. The closing has been set to occur on or before August 18th. So just less than a month. And when that occurs, I think all the details can be disseminated. Right now, there's a component to the contract that has to be met and satisfied behind the scenes before, my understanding is the county, or I guess the county's in a position to disclose all the finer details. And the reason why is if you've been a part of buying a house or any type of real estate transaction, everything's fine, and then something happens at the 12th hour, and you don't want that to impact a sale moving forward. Why that's important in this case is going back to the beginning, why it was a sealed bid, why no numbers were disclosed, so that if something falls through, and we're hoping that it doesn't, that somebody does not get a competitive advantage, because then they'll know all the numbers, the details, and everything else. Under the resolution that's in place that the board authorized that deals with the sale of property, real property, and in this case Sunset Manor, all those details will have to be disclosed. So it's not like the county is not being transparent. The county is doing its part to protect an investment and be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers. And it's a property somebody is investing in, and the goal is to get it back on the tax rolls so that it generates tax revenue in the best way for the county citizens. That's the best way I can try to describe it. I know we have a representative here from Trust Point, but I also know realtors have ethical duties and obligations on their end that they cannot discuss certain things, or they would be in violation of those ethical duties and responsibilities. The county can add more, but I would leave it to the board to decide whether they choose to disclose any more information. And it's my understanding that the county is choosing to wait until the contract has run its course, and on or before August 18th, if the property closes sooner, then those details will be disclosed. The contract would be subject to a quarter request, and obviously the deed that goes with the property is subject to open record as well.
Well, I can, I understand the hospitals, what's going on, where's it at, so on and so forth. I understand the needs for the sale to go through. I also understand the public eye out there going, what in the world's going on with this? But there's just certain processes you don't want to leak out, I guess, so to speak, because we don't want to give somebody else the edge. And yes, it does seem like it's dragging on, taking forever, but something this size.
But it's set for closing,
Yeah.
just like anybody else who is involved in either buying or purchasing real estate, and there's usually a timeline. Any time I've ever been a part of that.
I've always, my word, it's not worth, it's nothing's happened until the check's in hand.
That's kind of where
where
we're
the
at.
check's
yeah.
cleared.
Yeah.
You know, so, disclosing any of the important information can give somebody else an edge on the next, if it falls through on the next go-around, if there is a next go-around.
I'm told that, we should be, on the county side, pretty confident in this being finalized on or before August 18th. I mean, all the appropriate steps have been taken behind the scenes. Now it's just waiting for that timeline to materialize, and hopefully, if able, the proposed buyer may decide they're ready to move forward on before August 18th, and that occurs. And if it occurs, then the information to be provided in this forum would be done so sooner. So I know that's not the most exciting news. I think it's more than what people had, because now there's a definitive closing date, which is August 18th. And August 18th is not this Friday, but it's also very soon and right around the corner as we venture into August and almost a week. So, and I know the hospital board probably wants to know, and unfortunately, the way any county property that's in the hands of the commissioners goes, I mean, this is sort of the process you want it to go through. This process is in place, in my opinion, so that any property that's sold on behalf of the county, it's done in an open and transparent manner, and eventually all those details will be disclosed, but more so there's not any accusations of self-dealing, anything like that, where somebody comes in and they, for lack of better wording, steal property for less than it's worth, and it's done, outside the presence of this board and behind the scenes, and that's not what's occurring here. It's a lot of steps being taken to protect the taxpayer, who is ultimately the owner of that property, and so that transition from owner to proposed owner is done in an open forum, and everybody can feel like that their voice was heard, so to speak.
Well, we had it open for public bids, I mean, so everybody it's upfront deal in my mind, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I assumed that there'd be a motion made and Jesse will sign the papers that day, right?
Yes, in fact, the idea will be to formalize the sale in a resolution, so it will carry with the property. So a motion and a resolution that deals specifically with the disposal of this property. And then, I guess the next natural question, since the hospital's here, the board, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, although the proceeds will have to come back to the county, and then the resolution, those proceeds will go to the general fund, the county can then, through another motion, then send them back to the hospital. My understanding, that was the goal all along. So, does that help? I think you guys have a board meeting tonight, so
Yes.
we'll give it the thing. So, although it's not the end result, it's getting closer. Does that process make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
It's a lot of steps, a lot of processes.
Sounds like it's very, very positive that this is gonna go through, is the indications we all have. Sure.
Till that check's wrote and collected, nothing's a guarantee.
Yeah, well, we're good. Appreciate that. And any other, Ty, would you have any updates or anything other than what I said?
We are past the inspection timeframe.
One more nail.
Yep. I think all the hurdles have been crossed, and now it's waiting for the closing day to materialize. In all honesty, I think that's where things are. And in that intervening time period, I think, you know, how the property gets paid for will be the issue, and that's somebody else's problem.
We don't have any control over that.
Nope. So, any questions? I tried to provide as thorough an update as I can, but I think it's important for everybody behind the scenes that are watching either on YouTube or may see something in the paper to realize or see that, you know, nobody's dragging their feet. There are real concrete timelines that are being met, and there's a closing date that now has been disclosed.
I'm good.
Very good.
I am too.
Thank you all.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay cool.
That's right. Be careful.
Well, I think we're definitely done with our list. Wade's got more. Done with our schedule. Agenda. What was the last topic you was hitting on before McDonald come in?
The HR partners.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So,
You gonna check with Steve, or you want me to check with Steve, see if he's gonna be available, or have Angie check with Steve, see if he's gonna be available Wednesday? He might not know it this time.
yeah, I mean, and if he doesn't know, I would rather not have him stressed on whether he's gonna be able to attend that or not. So, if we can,
Shall we just go ahead and set some up? We could have two commissioners there.
I mean, it's up to you. I just wanted to bring it up. I know it's been a while since that subject's been talked about, and it's for good reason, but I think we're getting close to the end.
Don, do you want it, or you want me to take it?
Makes no difference to me, I'm open. I can certainly do it.
I am as well. Who's got a coin?
I ain't got a coin, they all do, they have great grandkids figure,
I don't have a coin. Oh, yeah, it is. Maybe. Yep, here it is. It's a double-headed coin, and you pick heads, right? What do you want, heads, tails?
Tail.
It's heads.
I'm sorry.
Nope. Yep, it's heads.
Heads or
So it's his heads, so you lost, that's me. Or I lost, however you wanna look at it.
Or you can choose now.
You can say which way you want to go now. I think
I'll take it, it don't matter to me.
I could visit with Tim too, as far as that goes, and if he, I bet you he'd be there, but if he can't, you know, I can come in anyway, so. It'll make nervous.
Yeah, I don't wanna bother,
It'd be better not to, because that family's got a pretty good load.
If he's here, he's here, if not, at least somebody's here, it's
10 to 12.
10 to 12. So I'm on the hook from 10 o'clock on Wednesday.
And then we'll meet back here Thursday at
We'll be
9.
here Thursday at 9.
Checks and vouchers.
For checks and vouchers. So we could do an update from that meeting if we have anything.
Yeah. I think they'll need to put pen to paper probably after that meeting to finalize whatever the thoughts and ideas are, and then some of the items that will be of immediate discussion for the board are related to, numbers, and those numbers tied to how much time can you carry, what the law says is the minimum, what the law says. From that point, you get to decide, and you have some flexibility there. So, but I'm sure when Christine is here, she'll be able to sort of let you know. There'll be the conversation that has to do with overtime versus comp time and what that looks like and how that interplays between different departments, because some can utilize it one way, some can utilize it another way, and then what does that look like with Angie's office for timekeeping and record-keeping purposes when payroll goes live, and those different nuances. So
This gonna be downstairs in the meeting room?
I was just looking to see where that is, and that's a good question that Angie may know, I can't.
Do not. I don't think we've,
Really depends on how many people's gonna be here, and really it would be better to kinda have a round table situation down there too. You can set the tables up in a square, people could sit around it.
Yeah. I would assume we might try to do it in the downstairs meeting room. It looks like, 7 to 10 people total.
What's in the room, what's in the lunchroom down at, or down in the meeting room, the emergency preparedness? There's probably 10 seats around there, isn't there?
Might be close.
I mean, it's already set up, and it's 2 tables.
I mean, you could probably fit it down in the room where we go to executive session too. Don't you think you could fit 10 in there?
Oh, yeah.
And that was gonna be my first.
Pretty tight quarters, though.
Yeah.
But being downstairs in the basement on a hot day might not be a bad thing either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, every place is in the basement down there, so.
Yeah.
All 3 locations. I'll just show up at 10 o'clock and see which direction to go.
So we probably need to let Steve know that although we appreciate his willingness to participate right now, his position in this has been taken by somebody else. And then that way he doesn't have to worry about it. I think that's the
I'd
point.
leave him the option. I would leave him the option. If he shows up, he shows up. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Okay.
I would leave him the option. Maybe send out a reminder saying, hey,
Yeah.
we've got it Wednesday at 10 o'clock. If you feel like you can make it, great. If not, we've already got an alternate. But both of you can be present. Both commissioners can be present at the time.
Yes. And on the commissioner side, I think it's important that the commissioners sit and kind of observe, and then any discussion related to what's observed occurs in this room, right?
Right. No, I agree.
And that was the intent and purpose of having Commissioner Curry there, so he could see, and then if it happens the way it's happened before, he takes notes and then brings it back to you guys so you can publicly discuss what was going on. But it's important that you hear the department heads that have concerns related to some of these issues, and this will tie into the 8 to 5 versus other things. Wordsmithing and adding in some instances, just a sentence to say, Sheriff's Department is not 8 to 5, and they have a different time schedule. Because the way it's literally written in certain places, if it applies to all county employees, then you're already in violation from the get-go with the sheriff's office.
Yep.
So, Outside of that, I was able to cover my hot topics, early on.
Okay. Don, do you have any roundtable?
I mentioned here, Jesse, probably 5-6 weeks ago, City of Leroy would, they'd like to put some heat in the east end of their building and put a floor in there, the concrete floor in there is 10 by 10 areas or 12 by 12, they're just kind of bunched together, they want to put a surface over it. But they probably put a wall in and get some heat in there for all their, basically infrastructure equipment, tractors and trucks and the 2 lawnmowers they have. I didn't know whether you had any thoughts on that or not. They'd like to take that out of the funds that we send them for infrastructure. And right now they've got about 800,000 there. Most of that is being saved because in the next 2 to 3 years they're going to have to overhaul their lagoon system. And they don't have an exact cost on that, but it's going to exceed. They're going to try to work for so much grant money as they can. But how much they're going to be able to get, they don't know. They don't know the exact cost of it. Other than right now, that it's going to be, exceed $1 million quite a bit. But they would like to update that building, put some heat in it. But looking at somewhere between 40, 45, maybe 48. They don't have an exact bid on it yet. And I probably don't have any trouble, I guess, using it infrastructure because basically they're going to provide enough heat in there, 55 or 60 degrees, to do a better job of maintaining their equipment, which basically is all tied to infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to do it and then, have an issue down the road. So.
Right.
They gotta take care of their equipment. If it's not being taken care of properly because they don't have a place to work on it, then.
Well, they don't have a good place to work on in wintertime especially, and that's when they work on some of that equipment when it's not being used in the summer. But yeah, it'd be good to have a little more convenient place to work on rather than working on it in real cold weather. Because right now, it's just a straight metal building. There's no insulation in there at all. So their thought is, just blow everything on the walls and blow the ceiling. And the building itself structurally is in good shape. There ain't nothing wrong with the building.
And then put concrete over the existing.
Yeah, they don't want to tear it out. They feel like it's, because they'll go back in there and saw it, probably, and I don't know whether
It's
they saw it.
stable enough, they can go on top of it.
Yeah. They will have to take out a little bit of a ramp, because it's 4 inches below, maybe 6 inches below the entry going out, and they will have to jack out maybe a 10 by 10 area.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything will stay.
Do we need to make a motion to use up to 50,000 out of, I mean, it's their account, isn't it? I mean, I don't know.
Probably don't need a motion. They just want an authority to go ahead with it before they did it, and then somebody raised a question about it.
I don't have a problem with it. It's gonna.
I certainly don't, so.
Well,
It's already money they have.
Yeah, it's their
in there,
money.
So I don't think you need to do anything. If they were coming in to you and asking for something in addition, then they probably should bring something in writing, and then you can act on that. But if it's their own infrastructure money that you passed on to them, they get to.
Other than it's just gotta stay in the category of somewhat infrastructure. To me, it is, and maybe a little bit not, but.
well, they're asking for make sure that we're okay with it, so.
Yeah.
Not to hinder them in the future, is what I'm hearing. I'm fine with that.
I'm good with it. Seeing pretty much across the board what's been done in the past, Angie?
Yes. It would be something outside of that you would need to approve. And you get the accounting of what they've spent the money on, so as long as you're all okay with that, you'll see it come through on a report. And I have been gathering all of those again for you to make sure that you're getting to see all 6.
We've seen 4 or 5 in the last 3 weeks.
I'm waiting for.
We got Leroy's wreck today.
Yeah, or not Leroy.
Last
Waverly.
week we got 3.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Waverly and, no, not Levo. Maybe I'm just waiting on Waverly, because I think I put one before you today, so I think you should have about all of them now.
Yeah.
And I did explain to them that the board had mentioned that in order for them to continue to receiving that money, that they need to submit those reports, so.
Very
Sorry
good.
to get off track there.
No, that's fine.
No, that's all on track.
No, it's a part of the topic.
Yeah.
Is that all you had, Don?
Yes, that's all I've got.
Wade, you have
I
anything?
don't have anything, sir.
Angie?
One thing, we got a phone call today from a Craig Ellis with the water plant at Melbourne. He said the commissioners have been wanting to discuss the CHIPS project with them. He wanted to call, and I'm thinking he's wanting to maybe get on the agenda. Are you wanting me to put him on to come in and visit? He left a phone number, or do you want to contact him? Do you want me to contact him? I mean, I don't know.
I
you
would
know.
maybe get with Carl,
Get him
because
Carl?
I'm sure him and Carl's been working on
That'd be my-
Carl's
Okay.
probably the one that
Yeah.
initiated that.
Okay, I will connect him with Carl, and then we'll
Carl can
figure
bring
out.
him in.
Okay,
Yeah, we'd be happy to meet with them,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so we're prepared to
Okay.
try to,
Maybe even a board member, two of theirs too. Might not be a bad idea that way.
Okay.
Well, they only have 3 board members.
They only have 3 board members, so at least one of them could probably show up.
okay. And I think that's all I have today, other than Thursday's checks and vouchers, so.
I don't have anything, Yep. I got the mower and tractor moved over to the north property, so get ready to manicure the lawn. It probably won't look as good as when Kevin and Amy, but I don't think the grass is gonna be growing much.
This grass is at a standstill now,
Yeah.
for ours down.
We've got that all.
So, yeah, the pool's all under control. Angie went and got a bunch of chemicals and, robot to go through, skimmer, I think's what it was called, wasn't it, or?
Vacuum, robot vacuum.
Yeah, that goes in the water and just robots all around inside the pool.
Wonder when they're gonna lay the rest of the asphalt? 'Cause they didn't lay it last Thursday or Friday, and they're not out there today unless they came since 8.
Tom told me, and I don't remember, but he told me last week, he gave me the schedule, and I can't remember what it was. That it was, should be this week, I think,
For what?
for the asphalt,
Oh,
the rest of the asphalt.
Because they got, the area east of the parking lot, and then they got these 2 areas here.
I mean, Tom will be here Thursday for checks and vouchers, so he can, I'm sure he'll give an update when he gets back. I think actually he'll be back today, I think, actually. So. Well, if nobody has anything else, motion to adjourn at,
Recess.
to recess, yeah, I guess we will recess at 11:18 until Thursday at 9 a.m.
that's so move.
Move second, done.
Ta-da.
Done. Bang the gavel. Shut the switch. Early day.